In this chapter, we're going to record a voice track, chop it up like we did with the clock sound effect, and then assemble the best performance from what we recorded. I'm going to read something as opposed to sing something, but this process is similar to the process for tracking a vocal. So even though it's designed for people recording announcer copy or recorded books, the spoken word, it'll help you when it comes to comping a vocal too. Obviously, we'll use a microphone to record the voice. I'm using an MBOX 3 as my audio interface. The Neutrik connectors on the back will accept 2 mic inputs using XLR jacks and 2 inputs for unamplified sources that use line level, like a keyboard synth. If your mic uses an XLR cable, plug it into the 3 pins of input 1. There's only one way it can go in all the way. And make sure the rear button on the front panel is selected. So there's a front and a rear button on the front panel. Make sure that it's looking for the rear input. If your mic needs phantom power, how will you know? Well, the manual for your mic will tell you if it does. Then after you plug the mic in, push the 48V button. Power your mic on after you plug it in and power it down before you unplug it. If your mic doesn't use an XLR and uses a 1/4-inch plug, then you can plug it into the round hole in the middle of the same jack. So that's how we get microphones into Pro Tools, and we'll cover the line inputs when we record guitars and keys later on. These new MBOXes have a soft limiter built in, and I like the sound of it a lot. It seems to solve a lot of the problems with overloading and distortion before they even occur. Okay, with your mic plugged in, you should see a green light on the front panel of the MBOX as you speak. Check, 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 check. So my experience is that the gain knob needs to be pretty far up for a typical mic, like almost all the way up. Call it 4 o'clock on the little detent. And if that little notch on the knob is in the 9 o'clock side of noon, you may not hear it at all. So why not just turn it all the way up? Well, you may not need that much signal. You may not want that much signal. You'll be bringing up the background noise, and you may actually introduce noise into the signal by being all the way up. So go all the way up and then back off just a little bit. That seems to be the good spot for the volume. So at this point, we're ready to assign this mic to a track in Pro Tools. Let's go to Pro Tools. We'll Shift-Command-N and make a new track, one new audio track in samples. And I'll name this track Narration. And when I turn this on, you should hear me talking in kind of an echo, because now my voice is coming into this track and being processed by Pro Tools in addition to the narration for the movie that you're watching. So what's the good volume? Well, the good volume is this green transitioning to yellow. That's a pretty good volume for Pro Tools. We like green, we're okay with yellow, and we're not okay with red. So if I reach around and turn this way up like this, I'm starting to get kind of a nastier sound, I think. There's a chance that I'll overload it if I get too close to the mic. So even with that soft limiter, it's really doing a good job. So let me not talk so loud into your ear. Let me pull it back to about here. And that seems to be a decent level for narration. We're good with green, we're okay with yellow, and we don't want red. So why not just bring it way, 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 way down just to avoid the whole yellow and red issue altogether? Well, that means that our volume is not going to be loud enough when we really need it. And we can bring up the volume of the clip after we record it, but then we're bringing up any background sound that was in there along with. Ideally, we get the right volume going in. Now I'm jumping back to the mix window here, Command equals. To show you that, changing this volume in here does not change the volume that I'm printing, that I'm recording. It's just simply the playback volume, right? So you can hear my voice going away and away and away and away, and then coming back and back and back. So if I do Option click, I'll set this guy back to 0. So this is not your input volume. If you need to reset your input volume, you need to go to the interface, the device, the MBOX, and change its volume there. Okay, let's say there are 3 possible outcomes for your recording. 1 is that you set the right level and you get a great recording. 2 is that you set the level too low. You can adjust the recording later on, but if you bring up the background sound, you won't want that. And outcome 3 is that you set the level too high and parts or all of your recording is distorted. There's no fix for that. Lowering the fader just gives you less volume on the distorted track that you already created. So it's really important to get that level right. One common mistake is asking your performer to give you a mic check using one level, testing 1, 2, 3, and then having them perform at a different level because they're reading a poem now. Or maybe they talk louder because they're excited. Always set your level using what you're actually planning to record. Just have them practice a little bit, and that's how you set your level. It seems obvious, but it doesn't always happen in the heat of battle. Room tone. Room tone is the term for the ambient sound in a recording. If we record in a tiled room, the hard reflections of that room will be captured by the mic, and that'll become part of our recording. Now, it used to be we were stuck with that. There are some plugins now that can modify the room tone, but think of it this way. It's easy to take dry vocal and put it into a setting like a tiled room or a cathedral, but it's much harder to take the room tone out of a recording. All right, 2 more things to mention as far as sound quality. Plosives. I'm using a little pop filter on my microphone as I talk to you, and if I move it out of the way and I say Peter Piper picked a peck, and if I jump back here and we actually record that, we put Pro Tools into record, and now see, I told you we would encounter issues. So it says try increasing the hardware buffer size in the playback engine dialog or removing some plugins. Well, I can't remove plugins because I don't have any plugins. So I think this is a result of Pro Tools trying to run itself while I'm shooting these movies for you. And the computer is just kind of saying, nah, pick one, buddy. Run Pro Tools, shoot movie, pick one. So let's say okay, and let's see if it actually will behave if I do this. Okay, well now it seems to be behaving a little better. All right, so if I say Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers, I can see that there are lots of P's here. Let me take this to there. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. So some of them are worse than others. If I jump in, I can see that plosive right there. Let me just highlight it. Right? And so there's sort of happier P's back here. Piper. There's a happier P. It's still a P, but it's sort of a friendlier P. Let me jump in here and see if I can pick up this one. And if I copy this and jump in here and paste it there. So if I say Peter Piper picked a peck of pickles, I probably want one of these really friendly little P's back here. I'll copy that and I will put it here. If I say Peter Piper picked a peck of, I'm going to put my filter back on, by the way. We can fix plosives, P's and F's. Those seem to be the main culprits. We can fix them, but the best idea is to use a pop filter or have your talent face slightly off mic if they're saying things with a lot of P's. If you're recording the Gettysburg Address, of the people, by the people, for the people, lots of P's in that one. As they read their script to you, listen for plosives and see if you can set the mic properly so that they're not aiming the air right into the microphone. Another thing to listen for is proximity effect. What that means is as you move the mic closer to the source, the lower frequencies become more dominant. So you don't just get more sound, more volume, you get a deeper sound as you move the mic closer. So that's called proximity effect. And you can counter that by just not having the talent so close to the mic.